If you ask me, I have to say, Demon Slayer has proven itself once again that yes, most of the stuff we're seeing in the episodes did not appear in the manga. If anything, last episode was literally just one page of full of manga stuff with a lot of anime filler, quote unquote. But if I were to make this argument, the filler in this season seems to be expanding more on the characters, giving them more to do, as well as more development. Example of this. This happens later on in the episode, so I'm going to be all over the place. So, heads up on that. But we get more Sanemi and Obanai fighting each other. We don't see that in the manga, and yet we still see that these two are training. And then Tokuto coming into play and showing off his mist breathing versus the serpent and wind breathing. Showing that, yeah, these different types of breathings, each one has their own style, and yet they're able to fight each other. Because keep this in mind. Sun breathing is the originator. It's the first one and the strongest one, which is also Hinokami Kagura. However, what I would like to think is that Hinokami Kagura is just a version of sun breathing. It's not the true sun breathing, even though I believe Tanjiro's father could technically, with the mastery of Hinokami Kagura, match the same thing what Yoriichi could do. But that's going into different territory. This is just showing that, yeah, these breathing styles are pretty strong on their own merit and can match each other. As well as these Hashiras, they are training the core. That is their main objective. However, they must also face each other in order to get stronger within themselves. With everyone but Mist and Love Hashira having the goal to reach unlocking their mark, knowing the consequences that you will die. It is more certain that you will die earlier than later. But that's moving on to the point. Episode starts, Tanjiro arrives. We get to see him being trained by Muichiro. Muichiro training everyone, showing off that he is more or less prepared for whatever comes by. Seeing his swordsmith, seeing him back, pretty fucking cool. And we get to basically see a little more into Muichiro and how he treats like the other core members. He is very harsh, do not get me wrong, but his time with Tanjiro has made him value every core member, because they're putting themselves on the line despite the fact that they are not strong at all. Not like Tanjiro, who is obviously Hashira level by this point, or closing in on that gap. Zenitsu and Inosuke, although we don't see them in this episode, those two are definitely on Tanjiro's level. After all, they are the strong trio. And clearly every special core member has shown themselves to be beyond the average Demon Slayer member. So having these Demon Slayer members being trained, like, yeah, they're being pushed to their limits. They can't handle the intensity. Unlike Tanjiro, who is showing himself in one of the scenes against Muichiro, showing that he's able to keep up because, well, as I said, his breathing style, Hinokami Kagura, is like sun breathing, one of the stronger breathing styles, as well as the fact that he is an adapter. He can adapt to most things and can learn very quickly. So, yes, he passes the whole test thing there, as well as Muichiro having more development and showing that he cares for his core members. He doesn't want them to die. If anything, he wants them to live, so that way everyone can live. He doesn't want anyone suffering the same fate his twin brother did. However, they need to be strong enough to defend themselves, because the Hashiras are going to be fighting the upper moons, that's no doubt. But for the other lower demons, the Demon Slayer core have to be strong enough to hold their own. So, we do see development with Muichiro, that his time with Tanjiro had a domino effect. And obviously, poor core members. Tanjiro's been there for a few days, he passes. They've been there for 2 weeks, they get the extreme cold shoulder, which kind of shows Tanjiro is pretty much impressive in terms of how he's taking his training. But moving on to that, we do get to see a bit more of the new Upper Moon 4, which is Nakime. And yeah, she is using her eyes to search around. And that is a problem. Because keep in mind, although we're focused on the training arc season, which I've seen people kind of complain, at least here and there, And yet they don't realize that this is important. Like, yes, I know people do not like training arcs. I get it. You want the action. You want the whole thing. But, I mean, isn't it better to see them how they progress, their character developments, and how other characters interact with each other? Like, that's also pretty cool. But, obviously, the important plot point of Muzan trying to search for Nezuko and closing in is showing. With all of these eyes, in theory, they're gonna find her eventually. Which is why they're getting stronger, to eventually have to fight Muzan. We do have a fun little sequence with Tanjiro and Muichiro kind of having a competition with paper airplanes. Kind of Tanjiro bringing out something that Muichiro likes, giving him a bit more of the childness in the Mist Hashira, and even bringing out all of the core members, kind of showing that, yeah, their teacher is pretty tough, but there is a soft spot. And I love seeing these moments, these wholesome moments. They show that these are not just pure adults who are going to fight and die. They're still, well, teenagers, kids still, in a sense, that they're going into this battle and need some morale boost, because most of them know they're probably gonna die. So why not spend some of the good times together while they can? Because the big fight, once it happens, there's no going back. It's gonna be an all-out war. Anyway, the episode ends with Tanjiro meeting up back with Mitsuri and the two having a chat, which is so wholesome. It is probably the third favorite thing for this episode for me. But overall, loved it. I also love how Obanai and Sanemi are both kind of annoyed that Tanjiro survived again. And once they realize that they're gonna eventually reach their little training things, they can properly train him, quote unquote, or be thorough with him, which is basically means being pieces of shit with him. As I say, like, I like these two when they fight. They're pretty cool. They're strong. I'll give them credit. But they're still assholes. And I still dislike them. But anyway, amazing episode. Gotta say, visually still looks good.